Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let me say welcome again to Room 43 and to the Musical Arts Institute second installment of a series that we entitled Sharing the Wealth, Conversations with Chicago's Finest. For those that may not be familiar, the Musical Arts Institute is a 501c3 nonprofit music school at 93rd and Lafayette, founded by husband and wife team Mike and Lana Manson. Most of you guys probably know Mike Manson, world-renowned bassist extraordinaire. And the vision of MAI is to make high-quality music instruction available on the south side of Chicago to especially the youth that wouldn't otherwise get that exposure. And that's really that's the heart of events like this and what we do at our facility week in and week out. Again, my name is Steven Stiles. I teach drum lessons there at MAI. And we also have partnerships with this year about 13 community sites, including 9 Chicago public schools, where we are doing music instruction in the schools where those students otherwise wouldn't receive general music or band instruction or any of those other things. So we are, this year, I think we're touching about 1,100 students, Mike, with the gift of music. We're teaching drumline, general music, chorus. 2 of our programs will be jazz combo programs. So we're doing a lot with a little that God has given us. So enough about that. Tonight, we are featuring Mr. Sharay Reed. Give it up for Sharay. Along the course of the evening, we may have other people coming in the room. You know, folks are getting off work and trying to, get their thing together. But we're going to get this party started with one of the baddest cats in town. Typically, we try not to allow this to be a cell phone, Facebook Live type of thing. So those that are in the room are the folks that are in the room. Does that make sense? If they wanted to get here to get it, they should have got here and got it. So without any further ado, please. I'm sorry. I'm about to get this. We want to hear some bass. Do 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 do. No, that's you want to hear some bass there? I just wanted to take a minute to to welcome you and say thank you for coming and supporting the Musical Arts Institute. As Stephen said, we are in the community serving a bunch of kids who otherwise would not have access to music lessons. We are a 501c3. Hopefully you have purchased your ticket today. If you haven't, please see the person on the at the table. But we are so happy to be in the community doing what we do. All of us can kind of point to the teacher who really was impactful on us, right? Well, we're trying to be that impact on the kids that we're serving So the next Sharay Reed will be another 10, 15 years from now, but we're trying to get to the next Sharay Reed, okay? All right, Sharay, just I've known Sharay for a long, long time. This guy is flat out amazing, and you're in for a treat. Sharay, take it away, brother.
Thanks, Mike. Man, hello to everyone. Thank you guys for coming out. I see a lot of faces I haven't seen in a while. Man, it's good to see y'all. Y'all give it up for Mike Manson and the Musical Arts Institute one more time. My own children attended the school and learned how to play piano, and there's so many different instruments that they teach. It's a really great thing that they're doing for the community and for the kids. So definitely support. I want to give it up for Steve Stiles too for putting this together for me, bringing me out. Definitely supporting everything that he's got going on too. He's really got a heart for the kids and and the community as well. And man, this venue is also amazing. I've never been on this side. I was actually on the other side with one time, but this is a nice place. I don't know if you guys, they do parties and stuff, but yeah, definitely support. My name is Sharay Reed, bass player from Chicago. man, I've been fortunate to play with a bunch of different artists. I started out playing a lot of gospel music. I played for like Yolanda Adams and Kirk Franklin and Donnie McClurkin and CeCe Winans, and then I kind of moved over and jumped into the R&B field. Played for Patti LaBelle, R. Kelly, Shaka Khan, Aretha Franklin, and now I'm playing for Corey Henry, keyboard player. He plays with Snarky Puppy, or he used to play with Snarky Puppy. Now we have a band called Corey Henry and the Funk Apostles. So I do that, and just doing my own thing. And so I'm just gonna play some tunes tonight. Hope you enjoy, and then we'll do some talking, get your questions together, ask me whatever you want. It's be a good time.
let me soothe ya. Oh, baby, I need a little more. Oh, baby, let me hold ya. Oh, baby, I need a little more. Baby, let me squeeze ya. Oh, child, I need a little more. Baby, what you want? Oh, I need a little more. Oh, baby, I need a little more. Baby, let me hold ya. Baby, I need a little more. Don't wanna control ya. Oh, no, baby, I need a little more. Baby, what you want? Oh, baby, let me get love. Baby, let me kiss ya. Oh, no, baby, need a little love. Baby, let me hold ya. Hey, baby, I need a little more. I wanna just squeeze ya. Oh, baby, I need a little more. Baby, I wanna just squeeze ya.
Thank you, guys. That first cut was "Come Live with Me," Marvin Gaye, and then the second joint was what did you say? Man, I really like playing bass, and like lately, I guess I've been just kind of getting more into it. So a lot of times I play with my eyes closed, and I found it helps me to kind of like get more into like the music, you know, and just kind of feel it out, and you know, just kind of, I don't know, it brings a little danger to it because I can't see what I'm doing, but at the same time, it helps me to kind of focus on just playing what I can get to and that making that feel good. So, but Steve, you got some stuff you want to get into with me?
Yeah, let's go. I'm like, take it, bro. I'm good. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you again, brother, for coming out. And me and Sharay used to be in a band together called Black Orchard. And so, you know, I kind of had a chance to work out how to talk to this brother. So I'm like, you want to preach, man? You can preach if you want to preach. Because Sharay's a preacher, man. That's another conversation for another time. But thank you all again for coming out, and thanks, Sharay, thanks for being here. I'd like to try to focus, for the sake of, there's only a couple of, I see one at the moment, of our young students in the room. We've got a handful of MAI students, some adults, one of our younger students that's here that we're really proud of, who got a chance to talk to Sharay right before we got started. So some of the questions that I'll be pitching will be geared towards somebody that doesn't necessarily know you that well. You know, so for the people in the room that do, they'll just have to be patient. But let's get started with just like your early development. You know, growing up, it was Carpentersville, right? Where's Carpentersville?
Carpentersville is the northwest suburbs. It's up past Schaumburg. It's right next to Barrington. Elgin is not too far away, so up in that area.
Okay, and you were there from what, birth to?
No, I was born in Chicago. We moved to Des Plaines when I was like maybe 8. And then when I was 10, we moved to Carpentersville. So I've been in Carpentersville since 85.
And where did you start playing?
Playing bass in Carpentersville.
In Carpentersville.
Yeah, I was in 5th grade when I started on bass.
Okay, so talk about that. Was it in school? Was it in church?
No, it was in school. We back then there were still arts in the schools, so they would start you on
if you played, bass, you would start on upright. And so that's what I took. I took upright. I wanted to play sax, but all the sax players they got all the saxes. So I played upright. And then my dad bought me an electric 50-pound Cortez bass and a little cheap little, $25 amp. And then I started playing electric, at the crib around the same time.
So were you playing orchestral mostly in the beginning?
Yeah, I was playing a lot of orchestra music, a lot of jazz, all the way from like 5th grade all the way through college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just talk a bit about starting that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, because a lot of bass players tend to come up, even in the church, they go straight to this instrument. Yeah. And I know that the feel is different, right? The action is different on an upright versus. So what was that learning curve like was it even a learning curve for you coming from the upright to the electric bass?
It was actually easier because my action on the upright was kind of high. So when I came over and started playing like church music, a lot of the bass players, they had low action. And, I couldn't play low action because I was like just crushing the strings. So I had my action a little higher. And so I was actually able to play faster because I was used to playing faster with higher action. So you got to hold it down and, your fingers get stronger. So. Yeah.
Got you. So that was actually an asset.
It was an asset, yeah.
Okay. And naturally, I would think that your sight reading thing came right along the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So 5th grade, you got started. How long did it take before you would say you were like a proficient sight reader?
I would say by like 8th grade, I was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. I got into college from sight reading. So I did I was sight reading orchestra music and the top jazz band music at DePaul and William Patterson. Okay. So yeah.
When did gospel become a factor for you?
Gospel was kind of interweaved during that whole journey. Actually, like Lamar, me and Lamar used to play with you. Remember Devon Ross and Daniel Witherspoon and all that. We, back in the day, we were playing. I was going into Chicago with some guys that lived out by me in Carpentersville. So I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, and I was playing for Mark Hubbard. I was his first bass player. So I was showing up at like the Tommy's musicals and, playing offerings and just getting in wherever I could, Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your when did you become, it's not the right way to ask the question. There was a time that I remember that it was like, yo, who's this Sharay Reed, And it kind of happened all at once is the way that I remember it. You know what I'm saying? And some of y'all in the room might know what I'm talking about. But it kind of predates like this video that went viral. It really, it's I would say it probably, and you correct me if I'm wrong, did it start with your Great Boy season? Yeah. Or was it even before that?
No, it was kind of like around that time. I came on the scene through Percy Beatty, actually. Mm-hmm. Yolanda Adams was looking for an upright player for her songs from the Heart record. And so Kevin Randolph, keyboard player from here, he called me and through Percy. And then I ended up doing that. And then from doing that, I ended up playing with doing a bunch of records for Percy. And then in the midst of that, that's when I met Gerald and Percy Gray. And then that's when I got on with New Direction. And then once I was on with New Direction, that's kind of like I started to build a little thing there.
So 1990, that's the mid 90s, probably early mid 90s.
No, that was about I say it was about 2000. Yeah, that was like the early 1999 because I had just gotten. No, you're right. That was about 98, 99. Yeah.
I was there, brother.
Yeah. That was about 98, 99.
I remember, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little more about that because I'm interested in the contrast between those two worlds that you kind of straddle because I think it's unique. A lot of our Chicago is such a bass player city. We just got some of the richest history of guys that have just done amazing things. Everyone comes out of the church. And so while you come from the church, you've also kind of straddled this other classically trained, formally taught approach, and I'm interested in how you think that those formal skills, how have they been an asset, and do you think that at any point they've even been a liability at all, or a challenge for your plan?
No, I think it's been nothing but an asset. Just because I've been able to, like when I came on the gospel scene, I was running into cats who have memories like elephants, like memorizing like 15 songs and then doing that and then memorizing another 15 songs. Like that's beyond my imagination. Like I can't remember what I ate yesterday, so being able to chart and write, that it came in handy because whereas I couldn't remember it, I just had to carry my book. So I just, I charted everything. And so that was, that helped me. And then it helped to keep my mind free for like, other things. I was really into like, at that time I was really into like the Bible and reading and just building that aspect. So I kept, my space for that mostly.
Let's talk about what you were listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So coming up, what was your musical palette? How did that develop?
Man, I was a jazzer coming up, man. I listened to like Miles and I was listening to a lot of Miles. I was listening to Joe Sample, Luther, Return to Forever, Weather Report. That was like my stuff.
And influential players and teachers?
Mostly, my early development was a lot of Marcus Miller, a lot of Ron Carter, a lot of Paul Chambers, and then I met. Then I ran into Jocko too, at that time, Stanley. And then when I got into college, I ran across Steve Huff, and I heard him playing bass on this the Christ Tabernacle Church record. He's playing Worship Christ or Lift Him Up. And that was the first time I heard like fingerstyle funk, current fingerstyle funk that was just that reckless. And I was a thumper at the time, and I stopped thumping in '92.
I promise that was one of my next questions. I want to talk about your finger style, man. I was sitting over here looking at the way that you were starting to dig in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a point where I saw you kind of bring your fingers down and start digging a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought it back up, and so let's get into that a little bit, man. So let's talk through your practice regimen and how that transition in '92, being a thumper, seeing Huff, and then evolving to the thing that you've got now. How do we get here?
Let's see. Well, you know what? Like, I practiced a lot when I was in high school. My mom was in the hospital for like 2 years. And during those 2 years, I think I was practicing like 8 hours a day for 2 years. So I learned a lot of bass in those 2 years. I think I was like 15, 16. I had like a learning curve that was crazy. And then when I got in college, I was just playing a lot. I was playing a lot of everything. I was in a lot of jobbing bands, and I was just trying to play as much as I could. So I was playing like 3, 4, 5 times a week for like 4 or 5 hours a night. So that was my practice. It kept my ears open, kept my fingers moving. So, that's what I used a lot.
All right, so I've been looking at you play bass a long time, and I don't think I've almost ever seen you play anything with a 5-string. Now, what's that about? Why what's the difference? I know what the differences are, obviously, but I'm interested why you're committed to 5 over 4 or even 6.
Well, you know what? I used to play 4. And what I found myself doing is I found myself tuning down the E string to a D. And so I kept doing that. And then I found that I wasn't able to play as quickly as I wanted to because I had to think about like the fourths were different. Now instead of going this way, now they go this way. So I had to think about that when I was playing. So it was throwing me off. So, and this was like early on, when I was like, 12, 13. So my dad got me it was a PV Dynabass 5-string. Man, that bass was awesome. So I got that bass. And once I had that, man, I was like, I didn't want to go back because I was able to get down low and play those things that I was hearing. I really tend to stay in the low or register, especially lately, but yeah.
How's your practice different from the way you came up, or let's even say, your practice was those gigs that you were doing 4 or 5 hours a night, things like that, to the way that you're working on your craft now?
Mm-hmm. Well, now what I do is it's kind of varied, man. It's like Thursday is like my official practice day. Like from the time I get up to the time I got to pick up kids, I'm practicing or working on some type of, but I consider learning music practicing. So I'll play like music that I have to learn and I'll play that. But I always try to start out with like, scales, just running scales, up and down the neck, doing scale patterns just to kind of like loosen up my fingers. And then I'll pick a song and then I'll just play it like 10 times and just keep figuring out how to just play it better. So that's kind of what I'm doing now.
If you don't mind, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. There's a couple other instrumentalists in the room, right? So we got a couple singers in the room, got a couple keyboard players in the room. Homie Sarah is kicking it tonight. Listen, don't get shy. Over next to my wife is a young lady named Sarah Pack, who is amazing on piano. So you should Google her and YouTube her and see some fantastic piano. And so I'd like to talk about the experience of playing with other musicians and get some perspective from you on your approach to playing with piano players, your approach to playing with drummers, and kind of the traits that you look for and how you navigate matching up with those instruments.
Well, when I'm playing with drummers, first thing that we have to get just off the jump is who is going to, I need to see where your time is. I need to see where your feel is, where your time is, because I'm not about to be fighting you this whole gig, So that's the first thing. So if you drag, then okay, then I kind of register that. If you rush, I register that. And then I know how to adjust to that. Like if you rush, that's a little better for me because then I can hold you back. If you drag though, what I tend to do is I tend to just drag with you. We'll just be dragging. Yeah. So I try to establish that with the drummer because it's like, I'm not at this stage, it's like I'm not trying to teach, I'm trying to make music. So it's like I'd rather just get where you're at and let's go there, and then, if you can adjust. So that's how I work with drummers. With keyboard players, I just try to like, especially a lot of Chicago keyboard players, they like playing substitution and like passing chords, but they like doing it like at the top. So it's like there's nowhere to go. So what I try to do is I try to play like, especially in church, I'll try to play like the song one time through, just straight, and force them to play the regular stuff if they're not doing it, just so that we have some place to go. Otherwise, it's just, So a lot of times I'm just doing quick maintenance things, and when I'm saying these things are happening within like 8 bars. After that, it's what it is. So it's like you feel it out, but just from playing a lot, I've learned how to do it. Just how to and same thing with like guitar players, and just feel it out.
How about stepping in with singers?
Singers are actually probably the easiest, because I just play bass, so they can do whatever they want. and it's like it's not going to affect me, But if they can go, I know how to get under them and push them to go.
How? Talk about that. So like, you've played behind some of the most amazing singers, Shaka Khan, Aretha Franklin. I mean, amazing singers. I know that they don't necessarily, well, Shaka maybe a little more than Aretha, but when they wanted to go, what did that look like?
Let me tell you something. Wow, I just got humbled actually from what I just said. They at that level, they have the ability to take you. It doesn't matter. They have the ability to take you wherever they want to take you. Aretha Franklin in her 70s was wearing me out. I have it on video. If you look on YouTube, I'm playing Think with her. If you listen to it, she is killing me. She's making me play. I thought I was getting up under her, and she was like, we got to the vamp. I was shocked because I'm used to driving a singer, especially if they can sing. I know how to get up under there and just provide a nice little, magic carpet, But yeah, Aretha, who else was like that? Yolanda, just another one that'll just crush anything that you thought you were doing as far as control. They know how to lead well. Yeah.
Cool. I want to circle back to drummers just because I'm greedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my instrument. So a lesson that I learned playing with you was how to break away from that traditional funk bass drum pattern thing. You see his head shaking?
It's an old way.
So let's just give us a quick your quick synopsis of the groove, the kick and the bass pattern.
Well, first let me say hi to my beautiful wife over there. She done snuck in on me. Okay. Well, I learned under the bass thing because it was a thing, I don't think anyone did it better than Marcus Miller and Omar Hakeem, on those Luther records, they were locked. But, it's just at this point, it's not that anymore, and, I don't know, sometimes I don't really experience it a lot now, but there was a period of time where drummers, it would be a fight between between me and the bass drum. And I let them have it. It's but then it's sometimes, it's I let them have it, and then I'll play what I'm playing, then they'll want to play what I'm playing. And I'll be like, no, just do what you were doing, So I don't know, situations like that. It depends on the player.
Gotcha. So you're also, in addition to being a great musician, an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How long have you been in business, and what made you decide to go into business for yourself beyond just the bass?
Bills. Yeah. I needed to have more than, I've always tried to have more than one thing, just popping. There are things I have a lot of things in me that I'm, trying to get out, books and videos and music. So it just made sense to me to just get it out, to produce some of this knowledge and experience that I've been getting. I'm out here, playing and working and experiencing all these great things. So, I like to take those things and share them with people. So I got books and master classes and all kinds of cool stuff. It's just a culmination of just life.
Can we talk a bit about the business side of the music?
Mm-hmm.
So, for those players that are aspiring or getting into working more, we know there's like levels to gigs, right?
Yeah.
There's like levels to this.
Yeah.
So when you find yourself, getting out as a working player, how would you counsel a new musician that's working their way out into how they handle their business? Negotiating fees and the difference between maybe playing a local club date versus playing a wedding versus doing a session and tours. How do you manage those kinds of conversations and negotiate that business?
Well, for me, I've never really looked at like gigs as just money, because you can do a $500 gig for like an hour. And it seems, I probably still do a $500 gig for an hour, but real talk. But there's so much other stuff that I consider when I'm thinking about a gig. I think about, travel. How long is it going to take me to get there? I think about who I'm playing with. Am I going to be playing with players that are going to make me play better or that are going to like pull from me and make me worse? I think about the fact that, do I have to bring equipment? I think about, what music am I playing? Is this music that I want to play? Are these people that I want to be around? These are all things of value to me. It's not just dollars. So if I'm doing a $200 gig and I've got all of those other things, that's like $1,000 gig to me, because I'm going to have fun. I'm drinking with my friends. I'm, playing music that I want to play. Don't have to bring any equipment. It's right around the corner. That's all value. And so I look at that as well as like the monetary value. And then how I kind of like, I guess, compensate on the other side is, because you still have like responsibilities and bills and stuff. I just try to keep my bills and my responsibilities low so that I could do more of what I want to do, So, if I ain't got to be paying like a huge car note or like, doing all this other stuff, I can take gigs that pay a little less and have more fun.
Speaking of fun, Corey Henry and the Funk Apostles.
Yeah.
So you've been on this gig now for how long?
I've been with Corey since 2015.
How'd that happen?
We were on the Aretha Franklin gig together in Miami. I'd never met the guy before, never heard him before. We were in the hotel lobby and he recognized me from, I guess, YouTube or something. And he's like, Sharay. I was like, yeah. He's like, oh man, I think we're on a gig together. It's like, it's Corey. So we got to the rehearsal and, they were setting up. And me and him were like just kind of sitting there. So he's like, hey man, you wanna play blues? I'm like, yeah. So we started just playing the blues and it was like really good. It was a good blues. And we just got to talking, man. He was just telling me, he's like, yeah, man, I'm thinking about putting this like funky blues band together. Like, it's gonna be like James Brown, Slash Stone. It's like, you wanna play bass? I'm like, sure, I definitely wanna play bass. And so then we did the gig and it was a terrible gig. It was a terrible gig. And after the gig, we were just so like, we were frustrated, But we sat there and, we had put it together. I'm like, well, look, man, just let me know when you want to do this. He told me, it's like, okay, I'm trying to do a show on December, 24th, just come on out. So I flew to New York. We rehearsed and he was, just putting the band together. It was like, there was like 16 people on stage. He was trying to figure out which guys he wanted to use. And that was the beginning. January, that next month, we went on our first tour with 2 other bands. We were out for like 3 months. It was great. And then we just been chugging ever since.
Chugging ever since. That's what's up, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the road like for the people that have never been?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing what kind of shows? You're doing clubs and festivals and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, doing clubs, festivals, theaters, opera houses. It just depends. You know, we've played some really we've done some really we played everywhere. Like we've done bars, we've done outdoor, like we played parties, private events. Um, it's just fun, man. Like we just play. Yeah. We when we first started, we were an instrumental band. He wasn't singing at the time. So man, we were doing like 3-4 hour gigs, like playing nonstop, you know, and it was the best. You know, two drummers, you know, it was just we were kicking.
Y'all still take two out?
Nah, I just one.
I thought so. I just. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit more about your books and your albums,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna prepare to open up the floor to some of these great musicians in the room that may want to have some questions for you. Um, your first record that I remember, I believe, is Offering.
Offering, yeah.
So let's talk a bit about Offering, and 1, 2, 3, 4 was your first book. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk a bit about each of those products. What was kind of the impetus for each of them? And then if you could just name each of those other things that we can go online and catch up to what you've been doing.
Okay. My first record was it's called Offering. It came out in 2008, I believe. And I just wanted to. I was in a writer. I was in a writer mode for like almost over 10 years, but I wanted to showcase, you know, just like some of the lyrics that I was hearing in my head and some of the music. So I wrote a bunch of songs, and I got like, you know, the best singers that I knew, the best musicians that I knew at the time, and did a record, and people liked it. I bought like 1,000 copies and gave them away, and man, it was great. And then I wrote a book. I had some like, you know, wisdom and stuff that I was learning at the time, put it in a book, and pressed it up, and I sold that, and I just kept doing that. Like every year I would do an album or a book, and I just kept going. I have like 15 albums out now. A lot of it is spiritual and inspirational. I kind of, let me see, maybe like 3 years ago, I started doing more, I don't know, less inspirational, less spiritual, more instrumental, more funky stuff. But yeah, it's just, I mean, if you go to my website, SharayReed.com, I have like some things on there, but most of my stuff is on cdbaby.com and iTunes. So yeah.
I said that was going to be my last question. I'm about to break my word.
Okay.
Just real quick. This one I intend to let be one of, if not the. Like I said, y'all be patient because this is for my young musicians in the room. But this is an important question to me. If there's a couple lessons that you've learned that you could go back and tell 15-year-old Sharay or 25-year-old Sharay, from now where you're sitting, having experienced what you have, going back and advising your younger self, what are a couple of those most important lessons about the music, about the business, etc., that you could go back and share with yourself?
Pick one course and stay on it. I think one thing that kind of slowed me down, I don't know. One thing that slowed me down was that I think I left myself open to like too many things. Like, I think I was like waiting to like be like pushed in a direction or to be like led in a direction. And I think keeping myself open to everything, I never really locked down into one thing. I think if I had like focused on like, okay, look, I'm going to do this, then I think I could have, you know, maybe did more. But at the same time, I think every time that I tried to do that, I think that I was being, you know, for some reason, I was never able to just kind of like lay my head in any one thing. It's like as soon as I got settled, you know, it either cancel or something to move. So I've always kind of been like, you know, so I've learned how to like just live like that, you know, just kind of So now at this stage, I'm learning how to like just kind of like buckle down and just kind of like, focus and just try to stay in one thing. So just pick a path and stay on it.
Thank you. We're going to open the floor now. If there's questions for Sharay, anyone, anything, it's pretty much wide open. Mike.
So, I've been talking with young students about how to set up their businesses and how to be the independent contractor to have their own entities that they run. What entities are is Sharay Reed? I mean, I don't think that's Sharay Reed, but yeah, I know there are businesses that are Sharay Reed.
I have, just being candid, I've never really gotten into like LLCs and, like corporations and that type of thing. I've always just kind of like did everything under my name. I have, I have a publishing company with BMI. It's Mouse King Music. That's my second one. My first one was Hip Hip Sharay Music. And then everything else I've just kind of like just done under my name. Yeah, but I would definitely say, if you want to do things on a larger scale and to be able to, I don't know, to free yourself to do a little bit more, definitely operate under an LLC and, get that information because, you'll be able to do a lot more than you would if you're just doing it under your name.
Differences in approach between jazz, classical, and gospel. I know for a time that you did some jazz.
Yeah.
From the law.
Yeah.
And that was your education, right?
Yeah.
And so how did you approach things differently? Because there are different approaches.
Yeah. You said jazz, classical. Got you. Let's see. I think when I was doing classical and jazz, I was a different player. Like what I found was that when I came into like the gospel world, like to really play it like I wanted to play it and to really play it like I was feeling it, I had to abandon a lot of the technique and teaching that I had learned because a lot of that feel and a lot of that sound is not in a position. Sometimes you got to bring your thumb around, sometimes you got to scrunch you're playing with 3 fingers. So it's like, I had to release my mind from a lot of the teaching that I had in order to really get it like I wanted to, even with the funk stuff. So I think for me, when I was playing jazz, I was playing jazz. It was like I was kind of in that realm. And when I was playing classical, I was playing classical. And then, like the gospel and funk, that's kind of where I'm living now. It's like in that space, it's a two-edged sword, Mike. It's like there's a lot of things that I would like to do technically, but like I said, I abandoned it for feel, and I've, cats like you're able to maintain both. I wasn't. So I had to let go of one. So in letting it go, I can make something feel real good, but as far as like playing fast and clean like that, I have to work on that, so yeah. So I guess to answer the question, I don't approach certain things, and I just kind of stay in the zone that I like at this point. Yeah.
Good, man. Is there any one of those styles you mentioned that you feel you have more freedom than others?
I have more freedom in, I mean, gospel or funk, either one. I can, I'm in that right now, so I could whatever.
Either one.
Either one, yeah, yeah. I feel comfortable there. Jazz, nah, because well, for two reasons. One, um, if I'm gonna play jazz the way that I hear it, I'm gonna have to play it on upright. And my upright chops aren't at a place now where I would be comfortable. And I don't play enough jazz to the point where it would make sense for me to start getting those chops up, So and then it's like if I get over there, there's too many bad like the cats on upright now are not like the cats back in the day. It's something else now. I don't even know. Like in my travels with Corey, I've seen some monsters, like to the point where I actually no, I'm not gonna say that. No, I can't because I'm on camera. I'll say it after.
Yes, sir. The two songs that you played earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that you played them in your other master class. Are those a couple of your favorite songs that you like to play, or do you just grab a song and go through it? And
Well, I have like maybe 60 to 70 songs that I like to play. And what I try to do, like when I do, my master class or if I'm doing things like this, I try to get a feel for how I feel at the moment, so it's like, I might, and then I try to get a feel for the room too, like if it feels like it's, if I feel kind of free or if I feel like I want to just kind of play bass, I might play something that's like, mid-tempo or slow. And then, if I'm excited about something, I might, play something that's up. Like I'll probably play something up for the last song. But, I just kind of feel it out, so. But yeah, I have a crop of songs that I just like to play. And like I said, part of my practice is just playing songs over and over again, so I play the same songs like 100 times. Hey.
Kind of asked all the questions earlier, but I'm gonna just kind of jump in on trying to phrase this. I currently play for a church,
Mhm.
and I guess I struggled. I've gone to this church since I'm probably this community as well. I've struggled with being able to voice my concern for getting to a level where I feel like I should be paid. Was there ever a time where you felt like people were you gift or more so in the church than anything, and how did you address that situation?
You asked, did I feel like people were what?
Do you feel like when people were asking you, like, just use your gift,
Yeah.
was there a point where you finally stood up for a level that you felt like you were at where you started to demand that you would pay?
It's a great question. I think for me, like it was weird the way I came into the church, like how I really came to the church scene. Because like I said, I played gospel music coming up, but one thing that I always did was I always kept a job. Like I played for a jobbing band that was like, they were working every weekend. So when I came on the church scene, I was surprised that people were getting paid. And I was surprised they were getting paid as much as they were getting paid because I couldn't believe it. Because I played at my home church and I was getting $35 a Sunday and I had to pay tithes on that, And this was like, this was up until like 94, 95. I was in college. So when I finally got on the church scene, they were like, yeah, so we can probably get you at like 657 a week. I was like,
couldn't believe it. So yeah, so I mean, that was like, and I mean, honestly, like when I came on the scene, it was like that, and I was like, wow, because I had a job, so it was like I was playing for free, I was just coming in and doing it. But once I got into it, I realized, okay, well, yeah, people are actually making. I mean, you're not gonna turn down money, so I came on the scene and I don't know. I think it was because I had a job that I was making a good living at. I had the freedom to just kind of do other things and just play. And at that time, I was trying to build a name for myself. So I wasn't saying no to anybody. They were calling. I was doing rehearsals. I was playing for everybody. And just trying to get on. And um, I think that helped me because I didn't have to, I didn't have to think about money. I was just thinking about like just opportunity to just, make good music, play, and leave a good impression, and start to, build something. So, but to answer your question, I say it just if you can just try to position yourself to the point where you figure out what it is you're trying to do. Like if you're trying to get paid, then you have to figure out how you're going to get paid. If you're trying to get exposure, you have to figure out how you're going to get that exposure. And you have to structure your situation so that you can do what you're trying to do, whatever that is. Yeah, no problem.
Eric and then Emil.
I find that I'm doing this, so I find that learning life helps you to evolve. And where you are today, what motivates you to evolve, to be better than what you are today for future?
You said what motivated me then or what motivates me now? To be better than I am now? Oh, wow. That's a great question. Um, Fear of being regular. I never want to be. I've never wanted to just be regular or just be someone that someone is just like, looks over or maybe forgets, or like, never wanted to be that. Even if I did something or was something that maybe was at a lower level or out of the spotlight, whatever it is, I just wanted to be really good at that. So I guess fear of being regular and being, I just want to be great at whatever. So it motivates me to just keep picking at it, keep going. Like I said, like I said earlier, when I get, I play now. And that's why I said the reason I play a lot of the same music is because I want, every time I play it, it gets better. It's like I've played I Want You by Marvin Gaye over 100 times, and every time I play it, it gets better, and it's like I always find something else and I always, so, and I kind of do that in life, it's like I try not to do too much. I try not to, be everywhere. I just try to do like the little things that I do so that I can work on it and get better, and just keep building. Yeah.
How do you personally network and then turn that into business? So that maybe get somewhere?
How do I personally network and turn that into business opportunities? Well, for me, man, I've always been fortunate to be in a situation where being in that situation led me to something else. Like my whole life, my whole career, I do one thing and then someone in the band is like, "Yo, man, I'm doing this. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so I've kind of done that. Um, at this point, um, I think I've taken a more um, authoritative approach to my future and my career in a sense of just figuring out, like I was sharing with you, just figuring out what it is I want to do and just figuring out how to do it. And at this stage, you know, what I really want to do is whatever I want to do. Just if I want to just do whatever I want to do. And so to do that, what I'm doing is I'm just figuring out, you know, okay, I have to create a platform, and I have to create a method and a system for myself where I can make the money that I need to make to take care of my bills, but at the same time, invest in myself so that I can create and do what I want to do. And that's what I'm doing, you know, just what I want to do. Okay, I'm about to get spiritual for a second. I have this I just did it Sunday too. I have like this level of like importance. And so like someone will call me for something or ask me to do something, and then I'll ask myself, is this kingdom? You know, and if it is, then I ask myself, okay, is this more kingdom than this other thing that I'm doing? And I'll just weigh it, you know? And a lot of times I'll turn a gig down just because it's worth more to me to stay home with my kids and my family than it is to like, you know.
So then the value primarily on your time.
Yes. That's exactly where I think that's where my value has always been, is my time. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at, is this something that is going to be worth my time?
The opportunity cost of not spending those 2 or 3 hours with the kids and going to a gig that you don't value.
Exactly. I'll give you a perfect example. And I can say this on camera because this happened Sunday. One of my young bass buddies, he asked me if I could sub at his church at night. Now I leave for tour in like a day for like a month and a half almost. And so I had to think about it, you know, because I got 2 days to spend with my family, but at the same time, this is my guy, and I don't know if he really needs me to sub. So I sat on the bed and I said, okay, God, help me to figure out what to say. Cause I felt I was being tested, you know, I'm like, what do I do? So then I was thinking about like, okay, so he put on me, he was like, okay, well just tell him, look, I want to spend this time with my family because I'm going on tour. But if you can't find anyone else, hit me back and I got you. That way I cover all bases. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in my heart, I took care of my family first, but at the same time, if he needs me, then that becomes a priority because I've already settled in my heart, I'm for family, but if he needs me, then I can come out. And exactly. And I won't feel any guilt behind leaving.
But if by telling them you spend time with your family, look for somebody else.
Yeah. If you don't get it, then I got you. Yeah. I do that a lot. So
I want to ask a couple questions that have come to mind. Now that we're talking spiritual, right? And I told everybody in the room, like, Sharay a preacher, you know. It's the truth. This dude is a pastor. He just, you know, if he ever leads a congregation from a pulpit, who knows? But this brother is very pastoral. And, you know, there's a couple things that I've seen you do over the years that I'd like to just get your response to the why. I think I know the why, but I think it's worthwhile to break open in a space like this. One of those things is the musicians Bible study that you led for a period of time in Salem. I snuck in once and didn't even come in the room. it was happening and I was late, and I just stayed by the door and listened, and it turned into some shit, and I left. And then the second thing was the Chicago Musicians Guild. I think, is that what it was called? Yeah. And then the third thing is after the incident that happened with Calvin Rogers a few years ago, not all that far from here, the prayer meetings that you were holding on the street corner. And that's not the kind of thing that we hear about musicians doing very often. But I'd like to hear from you what drives you to move that way and to lead that way. Do you even recognize that as leadership?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that was, I don't know, man, that was a different time and a different me. Like I was in a different space, man. Like I was trying, I don't know, my tale is it's a crazy tale, man. But in that space and time, man, like I was, man, I don't even know, man. I was in a different space. And I think it was a good space in the sense that, people were getting some spiritual things that I think needed to be, got. On the flip side though, man, I think I was in a bubble, and a lot of times you can be so into what you're doing or what you think is right or what you think is whatever, and you get blinded to like everything else. And I think that's where I was, man. I think there was some fear in there, fear of like stepping away from what I've always known, because I've been doing Bible studies and church and spirituality forever. But at some point, you got to leave the garden, and I think I was scared to leave the garden. And I think I just got good at gardening. And so yeah, I was in a different space. But I think in that space though, I was able to do a lot of good, and I'm glad I had that experience.
That's a great, you ain't gonna speak no pastor on me answer. Are there any more questions from the room? Oh, we'll take one more and then we'll get into some music.
Which experience in your career was most gratifying?
I think right now playing with Corey. I've like playing with Corey. I think this is the first time like in my life that I've ever just been able to just completely be my complete self. Like I get to play exactly how I want. I get to say whatever I want. I get to do whatever I want. They're all crazy. Everybody's accepting. And then it's like playing with that level of like all of that aside, playing with those level of musicians that, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, but sometimes there's like a break off as far as like how high and how hard you can go, because there's always going to be somebody in the band that can't go to that place. And so it cuts off at them. But I'm in a band where everybody in the band can go, like all the way. And so we do that. We go all the way. And that's really how I've gotten a chance to know who I'm playing with. Like there have been times where we've gone to the point where people were just like the whole room looked like a wave, where everybody was in, and Corey would go higher, where to the point where I couldn't believe it. Like I didn't think he'd go higher. He would go higher. And it's in moments like that where it's just like, wow, there's no ceiling. I can completely take it, and just, so yeah, now at present time.
Man, well, thank you, brother, for. Oh, I'm sorry.
But there is a difference between playing with a R&B singer where you have to kind of be structured and do your function.
Yeah.
As opposed to being your, Sharay Reed and all that Sharay is. How do you just, can you be yourself in that function? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's another thing about this group is that we have so many layers to the group. So we have that structure of like, okay, we have a song with lyrics and arrangement, and we're about to play it, and I'm about to stand flat foot or sit and play the song. And but I found that it doesn't matter what situation that I find myself in. I've been trained, or the part of me. Well, how do I say this? Part of the blessing of me knowing how to do different styles and having the training and the experience that I've had, it allows me to walk into almost any situation and still, even playing with like an R&B singer, still take it up here, within a structure, to the point where we're right here, but it feels so good to the point where the crowd is still like a wave, and we have not, and sometimes we've done this, we've gone the other way. We've been kicking so hard, Corey will break it down, and we'll be at this volume, grooving quiet like this forever. People looking crazy like, what they gonna do right there? Didn't go nowhere, still right here. We've kept it right here for like 5-10 minutes. People going crazy like, what they gonna do? Nothing. Right here, here. So it's like, I've been able to go here, but it's like, that's why I say like at this moment, I get a chance to like use all of my shit, and it's great.
Yes, sir. Have you been on a gig where you were intimidated or afraid because of who was on the gig or the other musicians that were playing or the musicians that played before you?
Nah, I mean, I was in one situation where I was called up to sit in, and it was terrible from every way you could look at it. Like, it was a trio gig, and my bass teacher called me down to play, or called me down to see him, and then he called me up on stage. Now I play like a half size. He plays a full size. A full size upright is a monster. So he called me to play his full size. The action was too high. I didn't know the song, and then he gave me a solo. So when I tell you, I failed in every way that you can fail. That was the only time, and I was nervous when he called me up because I was like, oh man, this is terrible. So, and it was like, when I got done, they're like, Sharay Reed, it was literally like. I felt so bad. That was the only time. But other than that, no. I don't because I feel like everybody does, they do what they do, I do what I do.
Yes, sir.
I heard that you hooked up the Fender. Yeah. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, man. I've played basically two basses like for the last since 90. I got my first real Fender in 96. It was an anniversary edition, American Standard. And then I hung that up in like 2003, 2004. And then I had a red one with a hip shot on the B that I rocked out up until like about 2-3 years ago. And I hung up the Fender just because I just got, it couldn't give me anymore. It was just like, there was nothing left. I changed the preamp, I got it set up a different way. It's like I was trying to like make the relationship work, and it just didn't work anymore. So I had to break up with her. And so I've been married to Old Blue for the past 3 years. And literally the reason how I got this bass, do you guys know Dave Brooks? Remember Dave Brooks? He's a bass player from here. He used to play Federa, and his Federa was amazing. And I didn't know anything about Federa, but his son Rainier came to a rehearsal one time, and he was subbing for me. So he had brought his dad's bass, and he was playing it. So I was trying to show him a lick or show him what we were doing. So I went and picked up the bass, and I literally played like 3 notes, and I like something shot through my body. It was just like, whoa! It was like it was what I was feeling and hearing. It was just like it was bass in a different way. Like Fender is a great bass. Don't get me wrong, but Fender is one thing, and it does not help you. You have to play a Fender. Every note, you have to play it. This, it kind of helps you. Like if you half play something, it finishes it for you. So it's like I can just, once I realize, I don't have to like, I can actually like think of other stuff and be creative and expressive, and this thing catches everything, man. So yeah, so I had to let it go, man. But I still love Fender. Fender's Fender, It's like this is a Fodera. Yeah.
All right. Amen. Oh. No, please, sir. No.
The one that you tried today, Brooks, was phenomenal. Consistency, that one.
Mhm.
Did they put that one together for you, or?
No, this is nowhere near like Foderas are the most expensive basses out, man. They are too much money. Yeah. This like that bass that Dave had, man, it was like 11 grand. Like it was like 10, 11 grand. It was yeah. So this is like a $6,500 bass. I didn't pay $6,500, but this is yeah. Yeah, well, you know what? I talked with the guys at Federa, and they were really helpful in helping me because they know I play Fender forever. So they tried to design, get me a bass that was as close to what I was used to. So this is a jazz style. This is their Emperor Standard, but like the sound, I'm good. I can ride out on this. I'm good.
Thank you, everybody. No, I had to I was trying to set something up, but it's not going to happen. But listen, thank you all again for coming out. Sheray's going to look for that track. And while he's doing that, to see if he's got something out of his original repertoire, let's say again, thank you for coming out. We appreciate your support. Thank you for Sharay Reed coming to do this presentation with us. So please give him a round of applause.